When do I know I'm Spider-Man? You won't. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
Like, what's up, danger?
Welcome, everybody, to the Monthly Movie Dispatch. We get together every month to talk about what movies you've seen, what we recommend, and what to avoid. What separates us from the other 100,000 other movie-related shows is that we're high school friends, have been discussing movies for 15 years. We love talking film, and we'd be doing it even if no one was listening. So this is a special episode. This is our top 10 end of the year episode. 2018 is in the books, and as you might have noticed, we're doing video this time, unless you're listening to this on podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see our faces. I'm Nick Moffat, and I'm here with Brandon Bowlby.
Hey, guys.
Shaun Bowlby.
Hey, that's me.
And Derek Diel.
Hi.
So yeah, like I said, we're on video this time, which is pretty exciting for us. I don't know if this is going to be a normal thing that we do. It might just be a one-time season ending sort of thing. We're kind of going to see how this episode goes and see if it's successful. So we might keep doing it, we might not, but I mean, I'm pretty excited about it this time. This is always one of our favorite episodes, the season finale, where we go over our top 10s of the year. We kind of build all year to this one. So I mean, I'm excited. I feel like we should just get into it, but real quick, I just want to talk about how after this episode, we're going to change the format a little bit. I know I talked about on the last episode if you listen to it, but we're going to be cutting back on the amount of movies we're watching. We're going to be doing less reviews, and instead we're going to be focusing on our favorite movies that have come out every month. So basically just the movies that we recommend, that we're psyched about, that we want you to see, that we want to talk about. So going into our next season, it's going to be a little bit differently, but we're all very excited about it. We're going to be doing also some fun games and guest voicemail reviews, that sort of thing. So I just want to jump right into the top 10 movies. So because 2018 has been a really fun year, we're going to each go one at a time and start our number 10 movie and go over what that movie is, and we're gonna do the punting concept. If you've seen our top 10 before, you'll know what I'm talking about, where if someone else has the movie higher on their list, they'll say punt, and we won't talk about it until it comes back to them. The other thing that we're gonna do is, before we get started, we're each going to say our top 3 movies that we haven't seen. So a movie that might appear on other people's lists and might have appeared on our list if we had seen it, but we just didn't get around to it. I know Brandon has seen pretty much every single movie that came out in 2018. So we're gonna start with Brandon. Do you want to start with your list, Brandon?
Of movies I regret not seeing yet?
Sure, if there are any.
There kind of isn't. I saw 132 films this year that came out in 2018. That's 11 movies more than last year. So I did a little bit better or a little bit worse, depending on how much time you think I wasted.
Zero time.
Yeah, what was the quality of those movies?
I had like 48 films that were 4 stars and above, so it was pretty difficult. I did think of one movie I'm kind of sad that I missed. I don't think it would have come anywhere near my top 10, but it's this Christmas zombie apocalypse film called Anna and the Apocalypse I can't wait probably to watch next Christmas. It's a musical on top of all those other aspects I listed.
Holiday time.
Yeah. That's it. I really conquered everything I had on my list this year. It feels great.
Well, that's awesome, Brandon. That's really cool. 136. That's definitely more than the rest of us. 132. I'm sorry, but that's great. So, do you want to start our top 10s?
Okay, so we're doing all of it. So, going first on my top 10 list, my number 10 film is 8th Grade. Oh, I'm the only one.
No punts? Oh my gosh.
No punt. Sorry.
Oh, Shaun punted.
Yeah, I'm punting it.
Okay, so Shaun punted. Shaun punted. So now we're going to go Derek. Derek, what is your number 10 film?
My number 10 film was American Animals.
Derek, that was my number 10 too.
Oh, sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are your
Awesome.
Did you miss any movies, Derek?
I did really want to see The Favorite. I'm really mad at myself that I never made it out to the theaters to watch that. I feel like that would probably be somewhere on this list. It sounds like it's just everyone universally loves it. I know I would like it a lot. I really wish I got to see that. Star is Born, and I don't know, those are the two that I really, really wanted to go see and just never got to make it out to the movies to see it. I don't know if I have a number 3 really that I can think of right now, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
American Animals. Derek, do you want to start us off? Why was that your number 10?
American Animals was just one of the funnest movies that I watched at home this year. It was well acted, moved really quickly, had a really unique format that stuck the film just deep in my mind, and it was just one of those movies that I thought about all year, and I just really loved it. It was good.
Yeah, man, me too. The style that you said, it had half documentary, half like a live action reenactment, and I thought that worked such perfectly for the story, which was about college friends that were trying to basically do a heist, where it just hit home. It was able to capture the fun of a heist, of planning a heist, but also the like horrific nature of what that actually does to people. So, yeah, that movie really stuck with me. That was my number 10 as well.
Nice.
So now yeah, let's move on to Shaun. What was your number 10?
Well, movies I haven't seen yet this year. I'm going to kind of cheat and say that a bunch of foreign films and a bunch of documentaries I missed. But the movies that I really want to see that I think could have made it on this list potentially is Sisters Brothers is one I'm really excited to see, but I kind of postponed it just because I'm doing my Westerns anthology kind of watch through, and that's going to come later. But then First Reformed, I've heard a ton of good things about, and really want to see that one. And then The Death of Stalin sounds really funny and super witty and great.
Yeah, all really great films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my number 10 is Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow.
Shaun.
Avengers.
You know,
I'm
so
so glad you put it on your list.
yeah. So, I just decided right now that was going to be it. And I have 4 movies that were kind of right there for top 10 or for number 10. And I just settled on Avengers Infinity War right before we started. So, yeah, Avengers Infinity War. It just I think the main thing it did is it really sold me on the whole Avengers Marvel concept, and this being kind of the end game of this long running series. It just totally convinced me that it's all been worth it, and there's
Awesome.
it's been a pretty rocky road. It just it totally sold me. It worked so well on so many levels, and I think it was just the cleanest of the Avengers or of the Marvel movies. It flowed so well. I had very few complaints about the movie, and it just it just kind of worked on every level. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Cool. Shaun's
So
number
cool.
10 was Infinity War. That's so cool. Real quick, because I didn't get a chance, I'll say my top 3 that I didn't get a chance to see, which were Shoplifters, Suspiria, and Burning. So 3 movies that I wanted to see that I didn't get a chance. But I ended up seeing 100 movies, which I'm pretty proud of. I'm glad I made it to 100. But yeah, you guys already know my top 10, my number 10. So that's American Animals. So let's go to Brandon. What's your number 9?
This is such a guaranteed punt, but my number 9 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Punt.
Punt.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Is there a punt from Shaun, though?
Yep, that's a
Yeah.
punt.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so
Next.
Derek, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is The Sisters Brothers.
Wow.
Punt.
Oh,
Punt.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So, Shaun, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Annihilation.
Punt.
All right. Yeah,
Okay.
I was a little curious about that one. If anyone else would have it, but that's awesome.
Okay, so my number 9 is The Old Man and the Gun. Okay.
Very cool.
So I was completely charmed by this movie. I loved how simple it was. I loved how the characters just loved what they were doing. I loved what they were doing was robbing banks or catching the guys who rob banks. And Robert Redford was just so great in it. I was thoroughly charmed by this movie. And I had A Ghost Story, David Lowery's other film, one of his other films, on my list last year, and that one was simple, and this one was simple, and he just makes these simple stories.
That's cool.
Just so
Twice
great
in a row. That's really cool.
So I just love this movie. So my number 9 is The Old Man and the Gun. Brandon, number 8.
My number 8 film is a documentary called Free Solo. Have any of you guys seen this yet?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, Shaun did. Okay. This movie did to me what nothing else has in, I don't know, cinema history. Like I have a moderate fear of heights, and I was watching this movie with my hands over my eyes, just nauseous and terrified. And I don't think that's just because of my fear of heights, but also because of the brilliance of the filmmaking and the cinematography and the intensity that this film gives you. I think it's one of the best documentaries I've seen in a long time.
Very cool. So that's Brandon's number 8. That's Free Solo. Derek, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is First Man.
Punt.
Shaun punted.
First Man has a punt. All right. So, Shaun, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Blindspotting.
Punt. Okay.
That one didn't stand a chance, Shaun.
So, so my number 8 is The Favorite.
Punt.
Okay. Punt. Great.
Wait, quick question. Did Derek punt Blindspotting?
I don't know.
No.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
Okay. So we're at number 7 already. Cool. Number 7. Brandon, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Bad Times at the El Royale. And no punts. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, to me, this film was probably the funnest time I had in theaters all year. Every scene is just like a perfectly orchestrated, like stylistic piece. And I had a blast with the setting, the location, the characters, the quirky dialogue and really long extended scenes. Everything about this movie was just so fun. And it also gave me one of the biggest rush moments of probably the entire year as well, with that flashback in the final climax. So yeah, that's my number 7.
Cool.
Nice.
Bad Times at El Royale, Brandon's number 7. So, Derek, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
So good. Derek.
Yeah, great choice.
Yeah, it's shocking that this franchise is still getting better and better. Mission Impossible Fallout, I think, is the best of the franchise and continues to hold a high standard for action movies. And this one was just it's just like a theme park ride. Like, it's just so thrilling from beginning to end. It's just so exciting and awesome. And on top of all the practical stunts they did, it's such a cool movie. It's one of those movies that, like, I think what helped it in its place on the list is the fact that I know it's a movie that I'm going to watch over and over, for years and years and years. And so that goes a long way, I think. So that's why it's so high.
Very cool. That's a great film. I think it's the best Mission Impossible 2. It was like number 11 on my list. So.
Yeah, just one of the best action movies probably ever made.
For sure.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So we're on to Shaun's number 7.
My number 7 is The Favorite. Brandon, you had that at 8?
No, I didn't
had
punt
it at
it.
8. So
Okay,
Brandon,
Nick
wasn't
had it at 8.
wasn't on your list.
Oh, I feel so bad. I feel so
wow.
bad.
Brandon.
Wow. Wow. Okay, I punted it. I punted it from number 8. So Shaun, why did you like The Favorite?
Oh man, it's just like brilliantly stylized film that has such interesting character dynamics and there's just like so much going on underneath the skin of the movie with all these characters and the way that the dynamics play out. And I feel like it's really interesting how there's not a ton of character development in the movie, but it's more the whole purpose of the movie is discovering the motives of the characters and what is it that is making them do what they're doing. And it's just such a brilliantly acted film, and it just kind of has you at the edge of your seat the whole time with just super witty and clever dialogue. It's interesting how fun it is. He was able to make the film.
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to go down as one of my favorite period pieces. And the irony of that is that I feel like it's not even really tied to its period. Like the style of it does not mean that it takes place during that certain time in a real reality. But yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I loved the character. Yeah, like the character dynamics. You're constantly switching who you're rooting for, and even at the end, like it's debatable who really came out on top and who was the main character. You know, like the dynamics are constantly switching, and it's just such a fascinating film. So yeah, that was my number 7. Shaun's number 8, or backwards. My number 8. Shaun's number 7. Yep. So yeah, that's The Favorite. Okay, my number 7 was A Star Is Born. No punts?
Nope.
No.
Okay, cool. Well, my number 7 was A Star Is Born. That was one of the best pure romance movies I've seen in a long time. Like, I absolutely believed that those two people fell in love with each other and their love was for real. It was very emotional. I bawled like a little baby in the theater, and I know I'm a little biased because I love Lady Gaga, but yeah, I loved A Star Is Born. So now we're at number 6. Brandon, what's your number 6?
My number 6 film is The Other Side of the Wind.
Punt.
Knew that was coming.
Oh my gosh. This would have gone on my list of movies I regret not watching, for sure.
Yeah.
That was one I really wanted to see.
And on Netflix, too. Easy watch.
It was one that just kept slipping my mind every time I'm like sitting down to watch a movie.
It's a hard watch though too. It's not like something you would want to just casually turn on.
Oh yeah,
because
it's totally.
You got to like really focus on it. But we'll come back to it when it comes up for me. So, Derek, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Apostle.
Apostle.
Guessing it's not on anyone else's list.
Oh.
For me, Apostle was just such a refreshing horror movie, especially with how many horror movies we've been watching. It's just such a gritty, like weird period piece horror film it's so obsessed with being a horror film. I feel like it loves that genre. It's just drenched in blood. The horror is so freaking gross and grotesque, and it's just such a weird movie. Like the acting, Michael Sheen, I just fell in love with the movie, and I just thought it was so great. So it's my number 6.
I know it's not my film, but I think one thing to note is like how it's not a horror film in the aspects of horror that any other film uses. It like invents its own genre of villain that isn't out there in the zeitgeist. It's so unique.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that movie's available on Netflix right now. It's Apostle. That's Derek's number 6. So Shaun, let's go back to your number 6.
So my number 6 is Roma.
Punt.
Okay.
Punt.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, so we're punting Roma. So my number 6 is Black Klansman. I figured no one else would have that on their list, but yeah, I'm happy that's there.
Yeah, it came very close for me.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I loved Black Klansman. I thought Spike Lee, he just told a really, really good story about like this interesting time, this interesting case, and the story itself, like by itself, was just really it had great pacing, that had some humor, it had some really intense moments. It was just a really compelling overall story. But then what Spike Lee does at the end is, he adds in this real life element that ties it exactly to our history and the previous history, and to me that was very powerful, very emotional, and it kind of to me showed the power of filmmaking. And yeah, I just thought that was filmmaking at its finest. So that's why I put Black Klansman at number 6.
Good choice.
Yeah, it came very close for me to getting my number 10 spot. It was one of the honorable mentions there. So,
well, thanks. I think it's pretty cool you put Infinity War on there, though. So
yeah.
So now we're entering the top 5. Top 5, guys. This is cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So Brandon, what is your number 5?
Number 5 is Shoplifters.
Punt.
Figured it would come from Shaun.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, me and Derek haven't seen that one. So
Yeah.
that's the one that me and Derek have
Wow,
not seen.
Shaun. That's cool. Okay.
Okay, so Shoplifters brand number 5 has been punted. So Derek, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Overlord.
Overlord.
Nice.
Second horror movie on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, Overlord's just awesome. It's just it's authentic in ways that it didn't really need to be, and it was so much better because of it. Like its war stuff was just so much more real than I thought they'd make like such a weird pulpy movie. But yeah, it's so original and so creative. I know it's going to be a movie I'm going to return to many times. So
yeah, that's definitely a movie I'm really excited to see. I've heard some great stuff about it.
yeah.
Has to be one of the best genre films of the year, even though it didn't make my top 10.
Well, very cool. That's Overlord. That's Derek's number 5. So, Shaun, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is 8th Grade.
8th Grade.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Didn't I punt that from someone?
You punted it from Brandon.
You punted that for me at number 10.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I just loved this movie. It's such an honest portrayal of that time period in virtually everyone's life, the awkwardness and the struggle to fit in and find your place and find out who you are and who you want to be. I found it so charming, and it was funny and hilarious, but also really challenging and tough to watch at some parts. And it's a really incredible debut film by Bo Burnham, and it's just really well written and brilliantly put together, and it's very subtle, and there's some great small moments with the characters, and it has some very touching moments as well. And it really impacted me.
Yeah, I put this movie on my top 10. Like, Bo Burnham's stand-up is also one of the favorites of mine that's on Netflix before this, and it's so cool that he came out with such a strong debut film. This was my number 10, and I slid on my list over some other ones that I was really sad about, but just because 8th Grade just got me so excited to be watching a film. And there's so many moments in this where I was grinning from ear to ear at like just the amazement of what he's putting together. I think a lot of it had to do with the super unique score of this movie and how like weird and stylized it was. But this is one of my favorites, and I really enjoyed also watching this a second time as well.
Cool. So that's 8th Grade. That was Shaun's number 5 and Brand's number 10. So yeah, that's a good one. So my number 5 was Mandy.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Holy shit, Nick.
Wow.
I
No idea.
love Mandy. I've watched. I bought it on Blu-ray and watched the first half of it again, and I love this movie, and I'm really excited to show it to people over the years. Like, this movie is just like pure psychedelic craziness. Like, it starts out as like an acidy sort of portrait, just like long shots of trees and landscapes, and then it devolves into just like pure insanity, like revenge film, you know, featuring like Nick Cage as craziness, just wielding chainsaws and fighting people. Like, just, this movie is insane. And I don't know, it's just to me, it's one of the most memorable and interesting movies of the year. So I'm psyched on Mandy.
You said you've seen it 1.5 times now?
I guess so. I bought it on Blu-ray and watched like the first half, and then I got busy and had to turn it off. But yeah, so
150%.
That's a cool, shocking surprise.
Yeah,
I did not know that was going to be on here.
yeah, so Mandy, my number 5. So number 4 for Brandon.
My number 4 is The Sisters Brothers.
Ooh,
punts.
Brandon.
Well,
I still don't think
Well,
you,
Derek-
Nick,
Derek
and
had
Derek
that
have reviewed it
on his
yet
list?
on Letterboxd, so I had no idea what they thought about it.
Yeah, where did Derek have it?
Number 9.
Okay. Yeah, this film was probably one of the biggest surprises. Like, I almost didn't go see this movie, and then it was playing right near me, so I decided to just casually walk over, and oh my God, it is so special to me. Like the genre of the Western that they like play in, and like sci-fi elements and the sci-fi kind of climax that comes out of this. The journey the characters go on is so much more like epic, and it spans like so much more time. When you think this movie is over, it kind of just decides to keep going and just follow these characters into like an extended ending that is like, I don't know, really special. And this movie was just a blast for every aspect. And I also think this director is really special too. Like, he, from the opening, like silhouetted shootout shot in the house, just right away, you know, like this filmmaker is taking extra care of every scene than a lot of other people would. And yeah, that's why it's my number 4.
Yeah, it's like super, it's very, very carefully made. It's just one of those movies, like you said, like from the opening shot, like, you know what you're kind of in for as far as quality goes. It's just like a really unique look. But for me, it's really just the cast like holds this film together so well. They're all so good in this movie, but also like they're so fun to watch. And I think it's just their charisma, combined with the unique story that they tell with this movie. I don't even know how long it is. I couldn't even tell you, but it like flows so well. And yeah, like you said, it's exciting the whole way through. And I didn't even realize how many people. I thought it was just like a Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly movie. I didn't realize like the main cast actually keeps going deeper than that too. So,
yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. I didn't realize he was in it.
yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal and Riz Ahmed too. I'd say is like a leading guy in the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
And so it's really the 4 of them. They're just so great together. So.
cool. So that was The Sisters Brothers. That's Brandon's number 4, and Derek had it on his list too. So, yeah. So, Derek, what is your number 4?
My number 4 was You Were Never Really Here.
Ooh.
Punt.
I figured.
Wow.
I'm the only one?
Dang.
I thought this was like our most agreed upon movie of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll come back to it. So, Shaun, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Punt.
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 My
How many
prediction is
punts?
that movie's going to get punted until the end. But we'll see.
Okay, so my number 4 is Blindspotting.
Punt.
Okay.
Definitely punt.
Cool.
Wow, yeah.
Cool. So now we're in our top 3, guys. Top 3 movies of the year. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting excited. Cool down.
This is big.
So, okay. So Brandon, what's your number 3?
Well, my number 3 is Blindspotting.
All right, there it is.
Yeah.
Blindspotting.
I have a confession to make too.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna like pull one over on you guys, but I didn't. It kind of failed. But Blindspotting's my number 3 too.
Oh, wow.
Wait. Derek. Oh, yeah, you just saw this movie.
Yeah.
Was this the last movie you saw of the year?
That's right.
No, the Sisters Brothers was.
Okay. Wow. Holy shit.
Try and
4,
pull a
3,
fast
and
one.
3. So I guess
that's all 4 of us have it on our list.
Yeah, where was yours, Shaun?
Yep. Mine was 8. Nick's was
Okay. Yeah.
4.
4.
What was Nick's?
4.
And then 2 3s. Wow.
Our first four-way on here.
Very cool. I didn't know this was the movie that I thought would be on all 4 of our lists. So
Yeah.
Derek, you didn't review this on again. You didn't review this one on Letterboxd.
I intentionally just stopped reviewing movies as we were approaching this list.
Because you knew Brandon
throw
was
us off.
keeping
Keep
a
us on our
close
game.
eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Brandon has
So
already predicted our top 10s from our Letterboxd reviews.
yeah, I got stats for days, but I'll introduce this film, I guess. I saw Blindspotting when it came out in the late summer, and just right away I knew this was one of the best movies of the year. I was just like top 10, no doubt. And I was really sad that not more people were talking about it. I feel like it really got lost in the summertime. But I'm glad you guys all got to see it. This movie is just like perfect from beginning to end. Again, like I feel like this movie just dissects every single scene and finds something unique and special from like a filmmaking's perspective to have its characters even like be doing, the way they're moving or the way it's shot or the like hip hop they're doing in each scene. Like there's something extra going on in every frame to make it a fun, funny, and also like thrilling experience all the way through.
Yeah.
Which is why I like can't put it anywhere else but in my top 3. Just the creativity is just you could just dissect in an entire like film classroom. But
Yeah, completely agree. It's just like it's so creative with how it uses the dialogue and kind of how it uses, like I said earlier, almost kind of the dialogue as a musical and just kind of say what through their what do you call it like almost beat poetry what they were thinking and what they were feeling at the time. I thought that was so interesting, such an interesting way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this movie had such an intoxicating presence about it. Like, it was somehow both really fun and very stressful throughout the whole thing. Like, you love the characters, you love how much they love Oakland, and yet you're a part of all the stress that comes along with their atmosphere and where they live. And it just really captured it. Yeah,
and cracking up too from like the opening scene in the car. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely the funnest movie I saw this year. Well, like you said, Nick, it's also really stressful. Like it's just got that layer of tension that they just don't ever quite let go of. They want to make sure that you know it's in the back of your head throughout the whole movie that everything could go away at any second. And but yeah, it blew me away. Like this is what I love about movies is something like this when you can tell like everything about this movie is just they're so passionate about it, from just even the characters in the movie to all the creators and the filmmakers behind it. Like it's just they have a very clear message they wanted to push through, and it's done with such creativity and like honesty, and it feels real while also just being fun and enjoying the medium and making something really unique and special. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's Blindspotting, and it's on all 4 of our lists. So that was Derek's number 3 and Brand's number 3. Shaun, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Hereditary.
Whoa,
yeah.
Cool.
You guys, this movie affected me so deeply both times I saw it. So I rewatched this movie, and as I was going to bed, like the closet door was open and it was pitch black in that closet. And I was just like, nope, fuck that. Fuck that.
Closet doors.
And I like woke up several times throughout the night and like had to scan the room. This movie freaked me out. It is really scary. And I just like, it's one of the best horror films I've seen in a while. It's definitely up there. It has such great performances, and I also love how it's definitely not just a horror film. Like a good chunk of the movie is kind of just family drama, really well done family drama, and really interesting, in-depth characters. I guess the mystery of the movie as well, I found really interesting, and how it all unfolds, and then like just how I'm just gonna say how they ended the movie was just crazy, and I really appreciated how ballsy they were with that ending. It was an intense movie for me, for sure.
This is my most wanted to rewatch movie of the year that I didn't get to. Yeah, because of the circumstances I first saw it. But the filmmaking technique from this first-time director is absurd. He is so good at crafting cinema. Just what he did with the daughter midway through the movie is like remarkable filmmaking.
Yeah, and then especially on the second watch, I realized how well shot it was, like how brilliantly these scenes play out in front of the camera. Like there's a lot of slow moving one take shots, or just shots that hold for a long time. And he is like, it really shows how good he is at his craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I'm glad you had it up there. That movie's great. And yeah, that's really cool that you have it so high. So that was Shaun's number 3. That was Hereditary. My number 3 is The Other Side of the Wind. So
very cool.
Brandon, you punted that from earlier.
Yeah,
and,
that was my number 6.
Yeah, so I had it at number 3. I mean, this movie is crazy. It was an art film inside of an art satire, inside of a mockumentary, inside of just like a really crazy film experience. Like it's just a, Orson Welles, like this is his like long lost film. Like he made it in the 70s and it never got completed. Like he died and it just never got completed, and it finally came out. Someone put it together and it came out this year. And I mean, it's a complicated, confusing watch, but it's really something special. It's like Charlie Kaufman before Charlie Kaufman was born. And I mean, I'm sure he was born, but you know what I'm saying. And it was just a really, really special movie. It just to me was firing on all cylinders, and it's like it pushed the limits of film. So I mean, it showed really what film is capable of. And
I want to do a very, very specific shout out to this movie. Should have been nominated for best editing, because the editing in this movie is so fucking batshit crazy, but it works so well for the like whirlwind of confusion that this movie is trying to create. And I just that aspect alone, I enjoyed watching it the whole movie. But also the cinematography is just gorgeous and black and white. And there's like moments with like fireworks and silhouetted people and people smoking cigarettes super up close and their grainy faces, and like there's so many half-second cuts in this film that are just jaw-droppingly beautiful. And that's just on top of everything else, another reason to love this film.
So yeah, that's Blindspotting. That was my number 3 and Brandon's number 6. So
not Blindspotting.
I'm sorry, Blindspotting. The Other Side of the Wind. The Other Side of the Wind. My number 3, Brandon's number 6. Sorry, we're talking about so many great movies. It's hard to keep track of all of them. So we're in our top 2. Brandon.
Shit.
Brandon, what's your
All
number 2?
Here it goes. My number 2 is You Were Never Really Here.
Oh.
And I'm really sad that this isn't like another Blindspotting moment, because I kind of thought it was going to be.
Me too. I assume.
Who did anyone else have it?
Yeah, it was my number 4.
Okay.
It was just the two of you guys?
2 of us really high then. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was in my top 15. I don't know. I rewatched the first half of it again, like similar to Mandy. I just like watched the first half of it, and I wasn't loving it as much as I did the first time. So.
At the very beginning of the year, this movie came out in like February or March, or am I crazy? This was really early in the year.
This was early for sure.
Yeah. And I only saw it once, but I remember it so vividly. And this movie is just so perfect from start to finish. The really twisted storyline of Joaquin Phoenix's character, and I really appreciated the way they told his backstory in such like creative, quick cuts and edits that you almost don't even know if it's like his past or if it's really happening, and it like just really culminates to a super fascinating character, and you really get to know why he is the way he is. And there's just so many great scenes. Like, I mean, the cut at the end, I think is like, I almost applauded it. It was so clever and almost funny, but like him laying on the ground, with the cops, the way they shot the major, like center middle action piece of the movie with security footage, and just all the flashes of like scenes and moments, and the way, she like edited this movie together. It's just such a brilliant, remarkable story.
Yeah, it's a simple movie. Like, it's not, I don't know, for me, there wasn't quite as much to dissect, because I don't think I really talked about it a whole lot either, but it's just so good. And I really like how they handled the violence in this movie. Like you mentioned, Brandon, like with the security footage and stuff, they almost kind of, it feels, having seen it, it kind of feels like it's in this weird spot where it almost feels like it's indulgent in like the violence, but at the same time it kind of keeps you from being able to see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the way they edit it and the way they shot it, it's just like, it's a very violent movie, but you don't see a lot of the violence. It's weird. It's,
100%.
Yeah. And I just thought it was really unique, really moody, and just a creative way to tell that, brooding, violent hero story. So.
Okay, so that was You Were Never Really Here. Brandon's number 2 and Derek's number
4.
4. Cool. So, Derek, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Annihilation.
Punt.
Wow.
Whoa. Nick.
Oh.
Are you allowed to punt this late in the game?
Spoiler. Now we know.
Spoilers.
Okay.
Wow. I was thinking I would be the only person with that on my list.
Wow.
Yeah, what number did you put it at, Shaun?
I put it at 9.
Wow, there you go.
All right.
I guess we'll come back to it for Nick.
Yeah.
So, Shaun, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is First Man.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was punted from earlier, right?
Yeah, that was my number 8.
Okay.
Yep. This movie, I will admit, this movie, I'm seeing it kind of at a really sweet spot in my life. I'm getting really into space exploration and space history, and I'm finding all that
Space
stuff. Space video games, and I'm finding all that stuff super interesting. And this movie, it just like, it's such an honest and truthful depiction of that time period and the technologies that they were using, which was strapping someone onto a controlled explosion. And and everyone's like, we've all talked about that many times, like how well put together those actual space flight scenes are. But I actually recently rewatched it, and I got really emotionally invested into his character. I actually think there's a lot more to his character than a lot of people give him credit for. Like I really do think they portrayed a very complex person, and there's a lot going on that, even though it's not showing at all times on the surface level, it does an incredible job at subtly hinting at who he is and what is driving him as a person. Damien Chazelle is such a master at what he does, and I think for me, this is my favorite film of his, more so than La La Land and Whiplash. As much as I loved both of those movies, I just think this is kind of him taking a step up into showing that he can do a lot more than just a smaller kind of genre.
Jazz movies.
Yeah, jazz movies.
Even though this is the lowest ranked of the three for you on Letterboxd.
Well, 5, and 4.5.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't put much stock into.
He's going to go back and change that rating after this episode.
No, so. I knew that. I think Brandon pointed that out before.
Right.
I loved this movie.
It really was such an exhilarating experience. I'm so glad I saw this movie in theaters. So glad. I can't even imagine not seeing it in theaters. It's just so technical and just so exciting. Like, I don't know, those scenes in the different ships are just so freaking intense. This is some of the most intense stuff I've seen all year. Probably the most intense stuff I've seen shot all year. Yeah. Like, and in the length they went to get you to feel that, like, in each scene, especially like, when they're spinning out of control and stuff like that, like, and then the amount of detail put into crafting those scenes was just so shocking and breathtaking and brilliant. So those are really what carried the movie for me. I didn't have any problems with the home stuff, but it also didn't really stand out. I just thought it was well done, but really it was all the space stuff really, really just pulled this movie way, way above everything for me.
So guys, I just had an epiphany. You mentioned how you can't imagine seeing this anywhere but in a movie theater. This might be the only film that could possibly work better on a visceral level watching it on an airplane. If I watched this movie on an airplane, I would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So that was Shaun's number 2. I think me and Derek are trading 1 and 2 here, because my number 2 was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, so going to our number 1s each. Brandon, your number 1 film of 2018.
Scaring me. All right.
It's the big one.
So this is no secret. I'm sure you guys have guessed with process elimination. My number 1 is Alfonso Cuarón's Roma.
Yeah. Roma.
And I believe this was only on Shaun's list, as expected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What number, Shaun?
Number 6.
Yeah. This movie is just like brilliant filmmaking in every department, in every aspect. You can go on endlessly about the cinematography, even the like choreography and the staging of this film is super creative. The sound design, but even more so, like, there's so many scenes in this movie that just explode in my memory as just these brilliant moments in filmmaking. Whether it's like the party for the New Year's Eve, or the fire that happens, or them sitting around the television as a family. And then even later towards the climax, what ends up going down in the shop and in the hospital. Like, there's just countless scenes that are just so massive in my like memory that I'll never forget, and that are just so, I guess, iconic to me in filmmaking. That's why this movie is number one. Nothing else really affected me this emotionally this many times in just one film. And yeah, for me, it's just perfect 5-star cinema.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, I would just echo everything you just said. It's creativity of Alfonso Cuarón and is incredible. It blows me away every single time. And the idea of creating such a small story in such a grand scale is fascinating to me, and how that was able to enhance the effect of the story by doing it in that way. And you very rarely get that that type of grand scale for such a small movie, but still, like, just an incredible film.
It's a great movie. I hope it wins Best Picture. So,
Ooh,
Nick.
yeah, me too.
So, Derek, your
Spider-Man talk.
Let's talk
Number
about Spider.
one?
You guys, let's talk about Spider-Man.
We
So-
all know, Derek.
The best movie of the year by far, hands down,
Let's calm down.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Who all
Very cool.
is
Very
it?
cool.
Sean, is that your number one too?
That was my number 4.
Number 4. Okay.
So
Nick's
I had
number
it. I had
2.
number 2. Yeah.
Where did Brendan
And I
have
had
it?
it at number 9.
Wow. So yeah, that's,
Oh, yeah, it's
then
another
they got all
4-way.
over this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All 4 of us. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was just like, I didn't even know what to think about going in. Like, it started getting crazy reviews, so I knew I just wanted to see it before anything got spoiled. And for me, this was just the most special movie-going experience I had this year. I was not going in it expecting to cry like 3 times throughout the movie, or that the span of like where I thought superhero movies could go. I had no idea that was going to be like expanded over the course of this movie. Also, I was about to go witness the birth of a new animation style, and there's like a, Nicolas Cage was in this movie. What the heck? Like, there's just so many incredible things that were just blowing my mind throughout the whole movie, and it just is so like perfectly crafted. It's one of those stories I feel like you can diagnose so deeply, because there's a lot of heart and a lot of like deep connections that they build between these characters in such a short amount of time. And it's a lot of characters too. And I just think they use a lot of the rules they set up really smartly to just tell this like really, really great story and introduce a fan favorite character, Miles Morales, that we've been expecting Marvel to do at some point. They still haven't, but I'm glad that this is how he made his big screen debut. And yeah, it's my favorite movie of the year, easily.
Yeah,
Wasn't
that's
even a
awesome,
question
man.
for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I just want to echo what you said. Like, this movie isn't just a comic book anime movie. It's an expansion on animation. Like, this invented a completely new animation style. It goes deeper into comic lore, while still maintaining to be fun and exciting and hilarious and emotional. Like, this movie really, like, it's for kids and adults, and it was just such a big surprise. I mean, I would put it up there in the top 5 all-time superhero movies, like maybe at number 2. You know, like
Right.
I don't know if it's better than The Dark Knight, but it might be right underneath The Dark Knight for me. And this movie is just fantastic.
I'd take that up a notch, Nick. I'd put that in like the top 10 animated films ish of all time.
Ooh.
For me.
So that's not a list I
Like,
have. I haven't
Pulling
even.
a few Studio Ghibli films, few Pixar films, and a few like 90s anime, and like this might fit right there along with them, Iron Giant. And
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse deserves its spot in
Yeah,
that
for
like
sure.
all-time animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we see a lot more of this kind of stuff, like taking interesting risks with animation. Kind of a more adult themed animation style that we don't really get here much in the West. It's kind of just reserved for anime, Japanese animation. I'd love to see more of this. And I'm so excited to see what Lord and Miller do after this, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they just came out with Lego Movie 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
they wrote
weekend.
that. They didn't direct that one.
Yeah.
Same
They
with
did, for the record,
Spider-Verse.
yeah, they didn't direct it, but just like the creativity that we've seen them bring to a lot of their movies, this feels like their just hands are probably all over it. But whoever directed it, Bob Persichetti and Peter Ramsey, it's like their first movies, I think. So I'm sure they're very talented too, and I'm definitely going to look forward to whatever they produce in the future too. So.
All right. So that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Derek had number 1. I had number 2. We all 4 of us had it on our list. So, Shaun, what is your number 1 film?
My number 1 movie that I saw in 2018 was Schindler's List 25th Anniversary Edition.
Oh,
Awkward.
No,
Shaun, it has to be
I didn't understand.
So good.
All
How
right.
long were you planning that for?
Let's just say Kelly's going to listen to this podcast and laugh at how pathetic that joke was. Anyways, my number 1 movie of the year was Shoplifters.
Oh,
Whoa.
Shoplifters. Yeah,
Yes.
number 1.
I had it at number 1.
Very cool. Wow.
Brandon, you had it?
That was just
Yeah.
my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this movie impacted me on every level. And actually, to kind of bring up what I said about Roma, like Roma was a movie that really impacted me after I watched the movie. Shoplifters is a movie that impacted me just as much as Roma after the movie, but also impacted me as much as any movie I've ever seen while I was watching the movie. It's a movie that is at some parts so wholesome. It makes you feel so so warm and whole. And at the same time, sometimes it destroys you. And there's so much depth to the film. That I was able to really dig into after the fact. And it's such great performances, so unique that I don't think I've seen performances done quite like some of these performances before. And the kid actors are as good as any kid actors I've ever seen. The movie is just so good on so many levels, and it left me in a deeply emotional state for the rest of the night after I watched the movie, and into the next day. I think I woke up thinking about the movie. The first thought and emotion that went through my head was this movie. So incredible film.
I think this movie is really unflashy for also how remarkable it is, because it's still on top of it not like taking tremendous visual risks. It's so flawless and perfectly executed in every moment. And the relationship that this family builds throughout the course of the movie is unlike any like character and loving development you've seen in a film. It works flawlessly, and there's just more heart in these 2 hours than in most films you'll ever see.
Yeah.
So that's Shoplifters. That's Shaun's number 1 and Brandon's number 4. So I'm really excited to see this movie. So just didn't get a chance. So I guess we're at my number 1. We've already spoiled it. My number 1 is Annihilation.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, Annihilation, that was one of the early movies that came out like last February, I think, or last March.
Just
So-
after Black
February.
Panther. Like the second movie I saw.
Yeah.
That was the first good movie I saw that last year.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting it to be so high on my list. Like, especially the first time I saw it, I didn't really know what to think. I wasn't sure how much I liked it. Then I saw it again in the theater and loved it. And then I watched
And then
it
Nick
again
saw it
at
another
home.
half a time.
No, I watched the whole
Watched it
thing.
250% of the movie.
No, I watched it again at home. So I've seen it 3 times this year, and
Damn.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and it got better each time. Like the third time, I was pretty much like, "Yep, it's gonna be hard to beat that one for me." It does everything I love in movies. Like it, maybe not every single thing, but like it's a big concept sci-fi. Love it. You know, it takes itself seriously, but also maintains like fun. Characters that are fun, good people. And it has like this level of ambiguity that you can discuss, and depending on your perspective and where you're at in your life, like you might view it differently the different times you watch it. And there's a lot to take away from it. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of different ways to interpret it, and it looks gorgeous. Like it just going into the Shimmer is just it looks amazing, and then you're in this whole new world that is just wild, and then the ending is just like 2001 Space Odyssey. Like it's just fantastic. So I mean, I love this movie. The only thing I don't love is that it's called Annihilation. I'm still having a hard time putting that together, but besides that,
Nick, this is a unique point for you, but did you enjoy how similar this film is to a recent sci-fi movie you just watched, Stalker?
You know what? Yeah. Me and Cow talked about that at length, actually, because, okay, so... I mean,
we haven't talked about this, but it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for real. Funny enough, me and him have the exact same number 1 and 2. Like, he put out his list, like, a few weeks ago, and I was like, damn, dude, I think we might have the same one, too. Like, I'm not trying to copy you or anything, but, like those are probably the 2 most powerful movies for me this year. And then we watched Stalker together. And so Brandon, like we put it on pause. Like we had an intermission. And just because we're hanging out with our families, me and him were in the other room with the lights turned off, and we're watching Stalker, and there's that train ride, and then it goes into color. And then his wife knocked on the door and was like, "Dinner is ready." And we were like, perfect time to pause it. And then we were like, is it weird that this movie is similar to Annihilation? we had a conversation mid movie. Like, hopefully Annihilation isn't just a ripoff of Stalker, which I don't think it is. I think they have
It diverges pretty quickly.
Yeah, like they have very different ideas, and yeah, there are similarities, but like, I mean, so are there similarities between You Were Never Really Here and Taxi Driver. Like, it's okay for a movie that came out in the 70s to have similarities between a movie that came out in 2018. Like,
yeah,
that's fine. But yeah, no, I mean, Stalker was great, and Annihilation was also really good. Like, loved it. So
yeah, Annihilation was my number. It was my number 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was my number 9.
It was like, I think we're really lucky that we got to see it in theaters too, because this movie kind of got screwed over,
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even know it exists. Like, this was such a awesome movie to see in theaters. Like, there's a few movies that the intensity, like the environment and the sound quality actually really, really matter. And I think to get the full experience of some of the horrifying things in this movie, you absolutely it needs to be unrelenting and in your face about it. Yeah. So for me, I was so excited to see it. I remember like I took an Uber home from seeing it, and I just remember like I was so excited coming out of the theater. I was just telling the Uber driver all about the movie. I was like, oh my God, you gotta go see it. No one's going to watch it, so it's going to go away really soon, but you gotta go see it. But yeah, it's so cool. And Alex Garland always does really cool, unique stuff. And furthermore, I just thought it was one of the best sci-fi movies I've seen the last decade. I think it's going to be, and probably already is, the most underrated film of the year, and it's also one of the scariest movies I've seen in years.
Yeah, like the bear scene is it's something out of a nightmare. Like that is a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I could not believe how scared I was. Almost like meta, like realizing how scared I was at that moment. I was like sweating and like almost trembling, and it's a truly terrifying scene.
It's also definitely another movie that just commits so hard to its ending. It's just like, nope, this is what we're doing, and we're going to do it all the way. We're not going to hold back, and you can either accept it or you can just leave, I guess.
That was the downfall of the movie too. Like that, I love it so much, but like that's what caused all the drama. Was
honestly, like, I probably wouldn't have liked the movie if they didn't commit that hard to the ending. Like, the ending made the movie for me, for sure.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's like, it's gonna be one of those movies, and like, I'm sure like you guys got this maybe with Stalker, I don't know, but I know growing up there's always like that sci-fi movie that somebody shows you that's just like kind of abstract and like mind-blowing, and like you don't really know what, it's just like so high concept and weird. Like that's what this movie feels like it's going to be. When you're looking back, to me, one of those like movies that not a lot of people know about, but it's really great.
I hope Alex Garland just becomes a really well-known director, and this is a very prominent film in his filmography.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been great so far.
People can go back and study this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he going to be able to keep up the streak that he's on? It's because
I
between
think
this and Ex Machina,
he's been making movies for decades with Danny Boyle, and I think he was on a streak back then too. So I think this is something that I think he's gonna be a pretty special filmmaker going forward.
He understands writing. Like he gets writing these concepts. Like he understands writing for the characters and writing the big sci-fi thing. But I think he learned how to direct from Danny Boyle, who's he's an all-time great. So
yeah, for sure.
So anyway, I think that wraps it up for our top 10.
Wow.
Yeah, so
congrats,
we all
guys.
did our top 10s.
Good job, everyone.
2018. So guys,
2018.
I've been keeping track on this whiteboard of each movie that we went over, and I gave them points. So our number 1 choices got 10 points. Our number 10 choice got 1 point. So I added it up, and I have a combined top 10 for us. If you guys are so interested.
Wow, so quick after that.
I've been doing it while we've been. It's been easy for me to write on this whiteboard. It's just
to white.
Sounds like you were having some problems writing on the whiteboard, Nick.
Well, my pen started dying.
Sure.
My pen started dying, so I had to switch over to my phone. But
okay.
besides that, I hope my math is right. But there weren't really any ties. So the only tie I gave the movie that had it was higher on someone's list.
Cool.
So there's only one of those. So number 10 is 8th Grade. Number 9 was The Sisters Brothers. Number 8 was First Man. Number 7 was The Other Side of the Wind. Number 6 was Roma. Number 5 was You Were Never Really Here. Number 4 was Shoplifters. Number 3, Annihilation. Number 2, Blindspotting. And number 1, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Naturally.
So
I thought it'd be slightly flipped, but
it
no,
was
that makes
close.
sense.
Spider-Man had 28 points and Blindspotting had 26. So
Wow.
it just had to do with me and Derek being at 1 and 2, basically.
Yeah.
So
Very
Wow.
cool.
So yeah,
I
that's
like that list.
That's our combined top 10. It's pretty
Nice.
pretty cool. I think I'm pretty happy with that list. You know?
Yeah.
We'll post it on our
That's good.
monthly movie dispatch Twitter.
Yeah, we'll put it on that Twitter feed. Real quick, Shaun, I know you crunched some numbers for our biggest discrepancies.
Yeah. We were having a conversation about what movies did we disagree with each other within the group most about. And I did a very crude crunching of the numbers. But these are the movies that we most disagree about of 2018. And so a little bit of backstory. We all do Letterboxd, and on Letterboxd you can give a 1 through 5 star rating. And so I was able to easily look up kind of what we all rated each movie. And I did kind of the movies that we all saw, or not necessarily all of us saw, but most of us saw, and that we had the biggest discrepancy. So with a discrepancy of 1.5 stars between the lowest and the highest rating, there were actually more movies than this, but these to me seem to be the most interesting movies that we disagreed on. They were Eighth Grade, the Cloverfield Paradox, and most of these movies had an outlier for them. So for the Cloverfield Paradox, I gave that movie the lowest rating, and I was the outlier, bit of an outlier there.
Even though we all hated it.
We all hated it. I hated it the most.
Like, what did you give it? Like 1 star, and the rest of us gave it 2?
Yeah, something like that.
I gave it 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I might have even given it a 0.5 star or something. I don't know. I didn't write that down on the show notes, Nick. But so that Cloverfield Paradox, and then Blockers. Brandon was the outlier. He liked it less than everyone else.
And Brandon, you're
comedy
crazy.
sucked.
You're crazy about
Brandon's
Blockers.
crazy.
That movie, I've watched
Yeah.
it twice. That movie is fucking
Sean gave it
hilarious.
4 stars. Holy shit!
It's a
Sean.
4-star movie.
It's the 4-star.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane.
And then Ant-Man and the Wasp. Brandon was the outlier there again with giving it the lowest rating.
Yeah, Brandon,
Yeah,
you're
hated it.
crazy about that one too. Like,
Yeah.
I rewatched Ant-Man actually this morning. Like, well, I watched most of it.
What'd you give it, Brandon?
You watched half of it again.
Yeah, I watched. I didn't finish it.
86%.
Yeah,
of it.
I watched. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty accurate. I think I think I have like 25 minutes left. But it's so fun.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think you gave it 1.5 stars. That's crazy.
I gave it 2.5.
Yeah, I mean 2.5 is fine.
I mean, it's a bad movie, right?
I accept 2.5. I don't accept 1.5 because I think I gave it 3 or 3.5. But
So then moving on to our discrepancy of 2 stars. Solo, a Star Wars story. Derek Diel gave it the highest. He was the outlier, giving it the highest score.
Yeah, I remember talking about that, and Derek
Oh, yeah.
giving it the
Solid.
most compliments.
Solid film.
Yeah, and then the next one is Roma. Nicky Poo. Nick Moffat gave it the lowest score and was the outlier.
oops.
Right?
Yeah, I gave
3
it 3
stars.
stars.
Yeah. We've had that conversation in depth on this show.
Hey,
before.
go back and listen to that episode. That's one of our better episodes. December 2018.
Yeah, and then with 2.5 star discrepancy, the movie, the horror
Damn,
film
deep.
remake Halloween, the second Halloween remake.
It's not really
Halloween.
a remake, though, right?
That's right.
It's a sequel
It's
to
a
the
sequel.
first one, so
Yeah.
not really a remake.
And Derek gave that. Derek Deal was the outlier there again, giving it the highest score.
Well, 5 stars.
Perfect,
Perfect
5
film.
5
stars.
stars.
It didn't
Perfect.
appear in your top 10. Nick, Derek,
Yeah.
is that the only film you gave 5 stars this year, too?
I don't know.
I was sure that would be.
No,
I thought
no.
that would be on your top 10.
Spider-Man has 5 stars.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think that
Annihilation has 5 stars.
that might show right there that we might put a little too much stock into the star ratings.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
I know I gave Mandy 4 stars, and that's my number 5 movie. So if you were to just look,
damn.
if you were just to go on Letterboxd and rank them by stars, like yeah, Mandy wouldn't be in my top 10 maybe, but
All right, honorable mentions.
yeah. Do you have any? What are your honorable mentions, Brandon?
Yeah, let's each take a turn. So my 3 honorable mentions that I tore my heart out and had to leave off my top 10 were The Favorite, First Reformed, and Cold War.
Wow, none of us had First Reformed on there, huh?
I know.
It was
I
just-
was so sad.
Was just me and you that saw that one?
I
Yeah.
did not see
I-
it.
Okay.
I kind of leaned a little bit towards the genre films that were 8, 9, and 10 on my list, and those kind of dramas got pushed out. And yeah, it was hard to do.
Okay. Shaun, do you have any?
Yeah. So even up to before we started recording, I had 4 movies at number 10, and I kind of just picked one. But literally any one of these movies could have been on my number 10, or probably could have even been higher. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But those movies are Paddington 2, which actually holds the number 10 spot on my my document, and was going to be tentatively was going to be my number 10 until
So
I
weird.
decided to change it pretty last minute. So Paddington 2. Black Klansmen, and Mission Impossible Fallout.
Ooh.
Yeah, fun choices for sure.
So the Sisters Brothers knocked 8th Grade out of my list. It was my number 10 movie.
Oh wow.
But then I just watched Sisters Brothers and it knocked it out. But the other movies were on my list. I had like a top 16 and they all kind of kept mushing together and like getting moved around and stuff. So Infinity War was definitely up there. And I want to put a lot of stock into movies that, like, I've watched Infinity War like 4 times this year already. Like, it's so good. And I don't know. I think that says something about how like respected movies should be too, is their rewatchability. If it's a movie, I don't know. For me, it's like it's hard for me to rate a movie that I can't ever watch again because I don't want to ever see it again. It's hard for me to put that movie on my list, you know. But then I also want to do shout out just to Game Night. It's like one of my favorite movies I saw this year. It's not one of the best movies, but it's just great.
Yeah,
and
such a great comedy.
yeah. So
Derek, I'm surprised you didn't bring up Upgrade.
Yeah, me too.
oh my god. Did I leave? Oh no.
Would it be in your top 10, Derek?
Upgrade was written down somewhere on a list for sure.
Oh no.
Yeah. That might have been missed. It probably would be on my top 10.
No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
That's so sad.
It would probably go between Overlord and Apostle, honestly, like number 6-ish.
Wow.
But
So high.
yeah.
All right, we got to start the episode over.
Okay.
Yeah, let's restart this whole
Let's
operation.
restart.
All right, stop recording.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's a few movies. The Tale I just watched. It's a HBO original movie, and it was really powerful. It was based on someone's real life. It was like a memoir of her like doing investigation into her own history, and it was a lot about how people tell their own stories of their lives and how through an examination you may view your own life differently and perspectives may change.
Hey Nick, I watched that movie today.
Did you?
That was my last 2018 film.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it's amazing, horrific, and such a unique like way of telling a story.
Yeah. So yeah, The Tale, that was probably my number 11. Won't You Be My Neighbor was a great documentary, and I think it goes without saying that, like, I don't know, everyone should watch it. It's just a great story about Mr. Rogers. And, the house that Jack built, like if I had gotten an opportunity to see that movie a second time, I think it probably would have made my top 10. But
Wow.
that first time, it just was a lot to take in. And I don't know, I really wanted to watch it again, but it's not available. Like, I guess I could have rented it again, paid $6, but, like I would have liked to have bought it on Blu-ray. But
I will say, like this year, rewatching movies, I think, really affected their placement on my lists. Like, I don't think if I had rewatched Annihilation, it would have been on my list. And like same with like Hereditary and Eighth Grade. If I hadn't rewatched those movies, they probably would have been much lower. So the importance of rewatching movies for these lists for me.
I mean, it's one of those things where you see something a second time and you could have a completely different experience with it. It's like, it's like what Derek was saying, where rewatching it a bunch of times makes it stronger for you. But sometimes you only see a movie once and that one experience is very strong. But you might see a movie 2 or 3 times, and part of me wonders like what it would be like if we remade this list in a few years, like in 5 years, if we remade our 2018 list, what it would look like. I mean, there'd probably be some movies that we hadn't seen yet that would make it on here, or the order would be completely different. Like, I guarantee the order would be completely different. Speaking of which, we wanted to just real quick compare to the last few years. Like, how was 2018 for us compared to 2017, 2016, 2015? We've been doing this for a few years now, and like, was 2018 one of the better years for us, or was it not as good as other years? Brandon, you pulled up all of our lists. What about you? What say you?
This is really interesting to look back at previous lists. And these are just the ones we've done on the podcast. We could go back further, but I'm going to have to maybe give it to 2017 is a little more special going over that list of films, and especially getting to the top, like 3. I don't know, but then also looking at 2 years ago, like some of those movies are already fading a little bit in importance in cinema to me. So I don't know. Like, do you want me to power rank them? I guess I'd do 2017, 2018, 2016.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of similar. For me, in 2016, I had Patterson at my number 1, and that's still like, that's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. I watch it all the time. And but like Moonlight at number 2, I don't know if I would be my number 2 anymore. And especially, I don't think Twice at number 3. Almost definitely not.
Wow.
And then I look at 2017, and I'm like, I think 2017 was a pretty freaking good year for me. Like, Baby Driver, I mean, that's still, like, fucking love that movie. Mother, Blade Runner, I just watched that yesterday during our snow day, and, man, that movie's fucking beautiful.
Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
Christ.
Like,
that movie's good.
To do a rank off, like, again, I would probably do 2017, 2016, 2018, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, 2018 for me, like, I put Annihilation at number 1. It's, to me though, it's debatable between Annihilation and Ex Machina. And Ex Machina was not my number 1 whatever year that came out. That was probably number 5 or something. So
cool, guys.
Cool. Well, that was our top 10 of 2018. Thanks everybody for watching. If you're listening on podcast, thanks for listening. And, if you could subscribe to our channels, that'd be really awesome. If you really love and support us, then you would subscribe to both channels, which would be so dope. Like I'm saying, we're going to start a new season next month, which will be a little different. We're not going to review as many movies, but we're going to be enthusiastic about the ones that we review. So, real quick, where can we find you online, Brandon?
You can find me at Letterboxd at Beb, and Instagram Brandon_Bowlby.
Derek?
Letterboxd at Chicken Tack.
And Shaun?
Just letterboxed at Bulbinator.
Okay, I'm Nick Moffat. You can find me on Letterboxd and also on YouTube. I'm making some movie reviews with my baby. So check it out, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Later.
Ciao.
Gucci.